The stuff that we're talking to recruits and their parents about, it's not hypothetical. I've done it at the NBA level, like where these guys are trying to get to. Like, I've been there. I've lived that life. And I've brought a lot of people here on our staff who have also lived that life. We talk about a strength and conditioning program. It's not hypothetical. We talk about a nutrition plan for someone to, grow their body. It's not hypothetical. Player development on the court, got multiple guys who were G League head coaches. Again, it's not hypothetical. It's something that we take very serious. And so I think the combination of all that has allowed us to, get some things done to this point.
From Pro Bowl. Hey! Woo! Welcome to BYU Sports Nation on an historic, monumental day for BYU Athletics, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. I am Spencer Linton, alongside Jeremy Jordan.
Let's go.
Happy Tuesday, December 10th. The happiest of December 10ths in BYU Athletics history, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. What?
If you have not been paying attention and have been hidden under a rock somewhere, let's go ahead and get you updated on what went down this morning on ESPN's First Take specifically. I'm sure that many of you were glued to social media as well.
I really enjoyed the Bill Belichick North Carolina conversation. Oh, hurry. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Holy cow. There's some news for BYU Athletics. Notably, the #1 basketball recruit in the entire country chose BYU on ESPN's First Take, repping BYU gear, saying that he is headed to BYU. Of note, we cannot mention his name on this program specifically because we have to fall within compliance issues.
He's got to sign.
He's got to sign his name, and then we can say it.
We'll talk around it.
But we can discuss the #1 basketball recruit in America, and right now, unnamed superstar on this program. We will be joined by Adam Finkelstein and Travis Branham, who cover all of this for 24/7 Sports in the basketball recruiting arena. Two of the most respected names in their own little paradigms. But first, it's time to rise and shout, as if you haven't already. Let's get to what's trending.
This Kevin Young era is moving fast and furious.
It's as deep with aggregate talent as BYU's ever been.
It's just the understanding of how to build a basketball roster in college basketball in 2024-2025.
Wow! That pretty much sums it up in one word for one recruit and the #1 ranked recruit in the United States of America. BYU beats out Kansas, North Carolina, and Alabama, among others, Jerem. So just...
Bama gets dunked on for the second time this week.
Fantastic. Surface level. What does this mean for BYU basketball and BYU Athletics?
I mean, obviously, like going to the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16 are some of the biggest moments in BYU history, but this is right up there. BYU is landing a generational talent. Generational. This guy's being compared to LeBron James out of high school, Tracy McGrady, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 6'9", jumbo wing, 7-foot wingspan, 200 pounds long, athletic, rangy, small forward from Brockton, Massachusetts. By the way, randomly, my sister lived in Brockton, visited Brockton before. Half the ward there is Haitian, which is a cool vibe. Took his visit to BYU on October 11th, cited that he loves the development aspect of BYU. And you heard from Kevin Young off the top. It's not philosophical that BYU is an NBA-like program. The head coach and many of his coaching staff have experienced either in the NBA or the G League. The nutritionist, the strength and conditioning, and the mental strength person and the video person all have NBA experience.
Jeremy, it's NBA boot camp.
Yes, it
is. You were joking about Bill Belichick talking about what he would do at the college program.
He wishes he could put a staff together like BYU basketball has.
BYU basketball is doing that model right now.
Yes, they are. He picked his Final Four, Alabama, North Carolina, Kansas, as you mentioned, BYU. One and done, top projected picks for next year's draft. I've seen multiple projections where if he was in college this year, he would also be the #1 pick. Highest rated player in the modern era of recruiting rankings. He's not a .999, he's a 1,000. He's like the perfect player, if you will.
He's a creative player.
He's a creative player. He is unbelievable. BYU's got a chance to win it all next year because they have the best player in the country, you'd think. So it's pretty exciting. Everyone is reacting to this. I love the photoshops of him in the jersey already. This is great. Again, we can't say his name. We'll talk around it. But you see who it is. You know who it is. This is unbelievable news. We felt like BYU had a great chance of getting him, Spence. Our conversations with BYU staffers, coaches, was very positive. One person told me yesterday, I said, hey, how you feeling? He said, we felt great since July when the conversation mostly heated up. He's been on campus multiple times, saw him in the press box with Fred Warner and Puka Nacua at the Arizona game. This is so exciting for BYU. If you thought Yegor Demin and Cannon Catchings was exciting, it continues to build off that. And it adds to Xavier Staten, who's a top 31 guy in 24/7 sports. Chamberlain Burgess. Going up to number 11 in next year's recruiting rankings, by the way.
Wow.
Number 11.
When have they been up there? Never. Never. I can hear the great Bill Walton, rest in peace. Has there ever been a greater recruiting class? No, there hasn't, Bill.
It's amazing.
Not at BYU.
It's amazing.
And it's hard not for my mind to think about, okay, when AJ gets to BYU, what will Kevin Young's roster look like around him as complementary pieces? Is this enough to maybe keep a guy like Cannon Catchings for one more year to run it back?
If he's good enough, he'll bounce, I would think. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that Yegor Demin is going to probably go. It would be shocking if he did.
The hope is that he's that good.
So I know that there are some BYU fans out there like, oh, what if BYU can convince everybody? Let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? But maybe a guy like Cannon, who is a guy who's projected late first round, early second round, maybe this is news enough to think, okay, maybe let's run it back and do something special at BYU.
Everything's year to year with these rosters. People can transfer, whatever. The hope is, I mean, you're going to lose a handful of seniors, right? You're going to lose Foose and Mawit Mag and Trevin Nill, and then we'll see who wants to transfer, go to the NBA or whatever. The hope is that you're producing one and dones. That's part of the reason that player, my bad, is coming on the program.
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't say anything. Adam Jackson, is that a guy that's coming? Is coming to BYU because of the development, because of the opportunity to use his staff and what they do well. Kevin Young's lived that life, as he said. This player cited Kevin Durant as his favorite player on First Take.
Oh,
who coached Kevin Durant, who has a relationship with Kevin Durant.
That happens to work out, yeah.
That is Kevin Young. The combination, and we talked about this when BYU got Yegor Demin, the combination of the right coach and staff and competitive NIL are here. You can't have just one and expect to get a guy like BYU just landed. You have to have both. And even then, you don't get everybody in the world. It has to be the right fit. I do think it helps that this player is in southern Utah.
There's
Utah
proximity.
In Utah.
There's proximity.
Yes, I think that has helped. If he's thinking all the way from East Coast to here and doesn't have kind of that proximity, I think it really helps here. But congratulations to this staff, the administration, the buy-in at all levels from Salt Lake to Provo, and the donors that are contributing here to make this happen as well. All of this has come together. I did jokingly think about my kids who grow up in a world where BYU football goes 10-2 in the Big 12 and they get lottery picks in basketball now. Like, this is the golden era of the Cougars in the next phase of what athletics will be. The 80s were unbelievable. We hope it's the 80s part 2 now in the 2020s.
Speaking of the 80s, you got to look back to the late 80s for the last time BYU picked up a recruit that's even in the realm of this today, and that was Sean Bradley. And this is before the modern recruiting rankings were out and all of the services and websites, certainly. It was Sean Bradley. He was the greatest commit in BYU basketball history, and he, too, in a roundabout way, was a one and done. Played one, went on a 2-year mission, then came back and was the number 2 pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
BYU's never had a player like this. Sean Bradley's different because he was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he was in central Utah in the shadows of sorts of BYU. This is a different beast. I know you just brought up the proximity for said player being in Hurricane, Utah, playing for an elite-level high school team and club team. But it's different because he's not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and had his choice of any elite level program in the entire country.
BYU didn't beat out just those 3. They literally beat out every school.
Every single blue blood program in the country. BYU wins this recruiting battle. It sets a standard. Now BYU staff can point to this and Yegor Demin and Cannon Catchings and Xavier Staten and say, look, we got a thing going here. We have a trend. You want to find out what Provo is all about and this NBA boot camp? I love what this will not just mean in the moment to get the #1 player, but how this will have a ripple effect and waves into BYU's recruiting future.
What isn't possible now?
Exactly.
Like, I didn't think a year ago, 7 months ago, that this was even a reality. Thank you, Jack Golke. Jack Golke of Oakland takes down Kentucky, and then the dominoes fall. And it's kind of worked out for everybody, has it not?
Yes.
And BYU's been elevated in a way that
we're in a world where Mark Pope is
possible.
succeeding at Kentucky right now.
I'm happy for him.
And BYU got Kevin Young, and both parties win. Win-win.
It's great. And
not a win-lose, as
Yes.
Michael Scott once worried about.
Yes. This is some of the biggest news in BYU sports history that has happened today. This is unbelievable. Cannot wait for this kid to get on campus next year. It's wild. It feels like basketball just started, but it's like for next season.
Yes.
But it's wild because we're talking about hopefully AJ Dybansta is a top 5, top 10 pick in the NBA draft. And then hopefully this guy is the #1 pick. #1. He talked about winning a natty, by the way.
On First Take.
The confidence he has in this staff and this school to be competitive in the NCAA tournament is notable. Because let's be honest, BYU's not banging out Sweet 16s every year. They've been to 2 all time. He wants to help take it to the next level. This team this year wants to take it to the next level. So I'm excited because you've got to have the right staff and the right NIL. You also need to win. Obviously, BYU had a good year last year in the Big 12 and showed they're not just going to be pushed over. This team's got to play well, and then you attract recruits to where, I can get all 3 of those things that I want. He said the words natty. Like, hopefully BYU is obviously pushing in the NCAA tournament, making a great run with hopefully the best player in the country. You talk about the attention that BYU will get, by the way, especially next year, on certain games that BYU, 1, schedules, and 2, they go out and try and get, and who wants to be.
BYU will be appointment
this
viewing.
Guy on TV.
BYU
constantly.
will be appointment viewing.
Yes,
for many college basketball fans.
It's like, did we think he could get better than Yegor? Like, this is the next level. It literally cannot get better than this. This is the top of the mountain when you're getting this kind of guy, this kind of interest, this kind of potential. It cannot be better than this. This is the greatest recruiting moment in BYU sports history.
BYU didn't get Chris Burgess when he was a player. It's rare that BYU's even in the conversation for a player like this to be in the top 5. BYU didn't get Jabari
Frank
Parker.
Jackson.
They didn't get Frank.
All 3 to Duke, right?
But they got the #1 recruit today. They did it today. And it just, again, my point is it's rare to even be considered by one of these recruits, let alone picked.
NIL changes this because I don't know that Kevin Young is attracted to a team like BYU if it's 1, not in the Big 12, and 2, doesn't have competitive NIL. I think this new era has ushered in the opportunity for BYU to be in the mix with recruits they never have been. I had one prior assistant coach tell me, we could get the best player in the country now. It's not like it was before when NIL started. And I said, what? Now we understand it, but at the time I was like, tell me more. He's like, no, if we had a budget of X, we could get a roster that could be Final Four-ish good, or there's certain numbers attached with that. Obviously, the donors and NIL ponied up an amount that was suitable for of a player combined with the coaching staff, combined with winning. You cannot just have one thing. You didn't just go buy said player. They had to have the right staff and the belief in said staff. But again, you have to have multiple things here to offer.
You have to have the complete package. No doubt about it. But I will say this. I know firsthand that he could have chosen several other programs that would have given him more money, that would have paid him more money.
It's not just
the idea out there that BYU just outbid everyone is erroneous. Like, I have it on good account that he could have gone to a number of programs and gotten more money. It was not about that, Jeremy. It was about what you talked about. It is the complete package.
Yes.
He believes, as do all of the recruits, if you look at what came in with Yegor Deming and Cannon Catchings and Xavier Staten and Mihailo Boskovic and Keba Keita and all these guys, Jeremy, all of them talk about specifically, I believe in Kevin Young to make me a better basketball player and give me the best chance to reach the peak of my hopeful pro talent. That is the common denominator here. This staff, this coach, it's not just about money. So I'm glad that we're talking about that.
But you need it.
It's part of the deal.
Yes.
But Kevin Young is the secret sauce and this staff.
100%.
They're the reason that these guys are choosing BYU because they believe in him and they trust him.
And it feels like those who are donating significant NIL believe in him too.
That is part of it.
It's everyone is, right? And the buy-in's amazing, and now you got to win because you're getting the guys, and now you got to continue to win.
Holy cow. Is this real?
Like, I thought I'd wake up and this was going to happen, but I still can't believe it. Does that make sense? Like, I had great confidence based on the confidence of the staff, but this is awesome, man. We're all so happy. This is great.
Our good friend Matt Brown from Extra Points had a fantastic post this morning. He said, I live in a world where BYU's starting quarterback is Jewish and their basketball team's getting the #1 ranked recruit in America. What is happening?
It's awesome. It's a different era of BYU athletics.
There's a place for everyone at BYU.
Yes.
There's a place for everyone at BYU. Outstanding stuff. Our question of the day. What was your reaction, straight up, to the #1 player in the country announcing his commitment to play for Kevin Young and BYU basketball? At the Greg Ladon on X answers, Kevin Young is amazing. BYU is a basketball powerhouse program in the making. I said a few months ago, why can't BYU be Gonzaga with Kevin Young? Jerem.
I think we're aiming higher.
They're there.
In terms of the type of players you're getting.
Recruits.
Obviously.
NBA picks.
I would love the on-court success of Gonzaga. They always go to the Sweet 16. They're in the mix for Final Fours. Like, on the court, I think that's a great point. I think BYU's getting better high-end. Like, BYU's best player is higher end than what Gonzaga is getting right now. It's wild.
Which is just insanity.
They need to continue to add, like, the Zags, and you have, like, 5 dudes, right?
Yeah.
But BYU is looking at back-to-back lottery picks now.
Mark Few happens to be a great basketball coach as well, and his staff. But we believe that Kevin Young and his staff are pretty elite too.
The Big 12 is a huge draw there. Obviously, BYU's investment in athletics overall is fantastic, amazing.